You were never meant to read the parables. You were meant to decode them, because they were written in code, for a hidden group, for now. And if you're seeing this, something inside you already knows. These aren't stories, they're activations. What if the lost coin, the prodigal son, the buried treasure were never about religion at all, but about you? What if every Sunday school lesson, every sermon, every children's Bible story was a cover-up, a distraction from what Jesus was actually transmitting to those who had eyes to see? The parables weren't meant for the masses. They were encrypted messages for the initiated, soul codes designed to bypass the rational mind and activate dormant DNA in those ready to remember who they really are. Jesus said it himself, "I speak to them in parables because seeing they do not see and hearing they do not hear. But you're about to see, you're about to hear. Because in the next 20 minutes, I'm going to decode 7 parables that will shatter everything you thought you knew about Jesus' teachings. Fair warning, once you understand what these parables really mean, you can't unknow it. Once you recognize the codes, you can't unsee them. Once you remember what Jesus was actually trying to activate in you, everything changes. So if you're not ready for that level of truth, click away now. But if your soul is stirring, if something ancient is awakening, then you're exactly where you're meant to be. Let's decode the hidden language of Christ. Everyone thinks they know this one. The sower throws seeds. Some fall on rocky ground, some among thorns, some on good soil. Standard interpretation. The Word of God lands differently depending on people's hearts, but that's the surface layer, the Sunday school version. The safe interpretation that keeps you believing you're separate from the divine. Here's what Jesus was really saying. You are the sower, you are the seed, and you are all 4 types of soil. This isn't a parable about evangelism. It's a map of consciousness, a guide to understanding why your own divine nature has been so hard to access. The rocky ground, that's your conditioned mind, the thoughts that reject anything that challenges your programmed beliefs. The thorns, those are the distractions of this world, the endless busyness, the material pursuits, the social media scrolls that choke out your inner knowing. The footpath, that's your unconsciousness, the parts of you that are so hardened by trauma and disappointment that divine truth just bounces off. But the good soil, that's your awakened heart, the part of you that's ready to receive what you really are. Close your eyes for a moment, feel into this. What if the seed that's meant to transform your entire existence is already planted within you? What if it's just been waiting for you to tend the soil of your consciousness? What if every moment of seeking, every spiritual hunger you felt, every dissatisfaction with surface-level religion, has been that seed trying to sprout? But the sower parable was just the beginning. The real activations are buried deeper. Because if Jesus could encode the map of consciousness in a simple farming story, what do you think he hid in the parable about losing something precious? A woman loses 1 coin out of 10. She lights a lamp, sweeps the house, searches carefully until she finds it. When she does, she calls her friends to celebrate. The church will tell you this is about God's love for sinners, about how heaven rejoices over one person who repents. But that's not the real transmission. You are the woman. The coin is your divine nature, and you didn't lose it by sinning. You hid it, on purpose, before you incarnated. Think about it. Why would someone hide a coin in their own house? Because they knew something was coming. A time when having that treasure visible would be dangerous. Your soul hid its divine nature in the depths of your unconscious because you knew this world would try to convince you you're small, limited, separate, broken. But now is the time of remembering. The lamp you light is consciousness. The sweeping is the inner work. The searching is this very moment of questioning everything you were taught. And when you find it, when you remember what you really are, the celebration isn't in heaven. It's right here. It's the joy of recognizing that you were never actually lost. You were just hidden, even from yourself. Feel into this right now. What if the spiritual seeking, the endless searching for God outside yourself, is actually the process of remembering what you buried within yourself before you came here? What if every moment of feeling lost, every dark night of the soul, every time you've wondered where God is, has been you getting closer to uncovering your own hidden divinity? But that's just one coin, one small piece of buried treasure. The next parable? It's about someone who found the entire field. And what he did when he realized what he'd stumbled upon will blow your mind. A man finds treasure hidden in a field. In his joy, he goes and sells everything he has and buys that field. Sunday school version. The kingdom of heaven is so valuable, it's worth giving up everything for. But here's what they never told you. The man didn't just find treasure, he found his treasure. The treasure he hid there in a previous lifetime, waiting for the right moment to remember and reclaim. You are that man. This lifetime is you stumbling upon the field where your true self has been buried, and everything you think you are, your identity, your limitations, your stories about being human, those are the things you have to sell to buy back what was always yours. But here's the deeper code. The field represents your human experience. Your body, your personality, your circumstances. You don't transcend them. You purchase them. You embrace them fully because you realize they're the perfect hiding place for your divinity. This isn't about rejecting the world. This is about recognizing that the world itself is the field where your treasure is buried. Think about what Jesus is really saying. Your human experience isn't a distraction from your spiritual life. It is your spiritual life. Your relationships, your work, your struggles, your joys, they're all part of the field where your divine nature is hidden, waiting to be discovered. What if right now, in this very moment, you're standing on the field where your true self is buried? What if every experience you've had, even the painful ones, has been preparing you to recognize the treasure when you find it? Feel into your life as it is right now. Not how you wish it were, but exactly as it is. Can you sense it? The treasure waiting just beneath the surface of your ordinary existence. But finding your treasure is just the first step. The next parable reveals what happens when you try to share what you've discovered with others. And the code Jesus embedded in this one, it explains why some people can hear what I'm telling you right now, and others think it's crazy. If you're still watching this far, you're not just curious, you're remembering. You're part of the few decoding the lost language of Christ from within. Part of the lineage that carried these codes forward through centuries of suppression. You're part of the hidden lineage, the ones who feel the call, even when they can't explain it. Like this video, not for me, but to push this signal out to the others who are still lost in the noise. It's a way to tell the machines that this type of content needs to reach more awakening souls like you. Subscribe to the channel to stay inside the current, because what's coming next is not entertainment, it's activation. The next 4 parables I'm about to decode, they reveal the mechanics of awakening, the spiritual technology that Jesus embedded in simple stories, the activation sequences that can literally transform your consciousness in real time. But they're also the most dangerous, because once you understand them, once you embody them, you can't go back to seeing yourself as small. You can't unknow your divine nature. You ready for that level of responsibility? A merchant searching for fine pearls finds one of great value. He goes away and sells everything he has and buys it. Similar story to the treasure, right? Wrong. The treasure was stumbled upon by accident. The pearl was found by someone who knew what to look for. The merchant represents your awakened consciousness. You've been searching through lifetime after lifetime, experience after experience, looking for the one truth that makes sense of everything else. And when you find it, when you recognize your pearl of great price, you realize it's not something you acquire, it's something you remember. The pearl is the recognition that consciousness itself is divine. that the very awareness through which you're experiencing this moment is the same awareness that Jesus embodied, that Buddha discovered, that every mystic throughout history has pointed toward. But here's the secret code. The merchant doesn't just buy one pearl. He recognizes that he is the pearl. The seeker becomes the sought. The finder becomes the found. This is why Jesus said, the kingdom of heaven is like... He didn't say the kingdom is the pearl. He said it's like the merchant finding the pearl. The kingdom is the recognition, the awakening, the moment consciousness recognizes itself. You are not a human being seeking spiritual enlightenment. You are divine consciousness having a human experience. You are not trying to become worthy of God's love. You are God's love, expressing itself as you. The pearl of great price isn't something you earn or achieve. It's what you are when you stop pretending to be small. Stop for a moment. Look around you. Feel your breath. Sense your heartbeat. That awareness, that consciousness through which all of this is being experienced. That is the pearl. That is the treasure. That is what every parable has been pointing toward. You've been searching for God while being God. You've been seeking the kingdom while living in the kingdom. You've been trying to find yourself while never actually being lost. But if this is true, if you really are the pearl, the treasure, the divine consciousness itself, then why doesn't it always feel that way? The next three parables reveal exactly what's been blocking this recognition. And when you understand these codes, everything clicks into place. A man sows good seed in his field. While everyone sleeps, an enemy comes and sows weeds among the wheat. When both grow up together, the servants ask if they should pull up the weeds. The master says no. Wait until harvest, then separate them. The church teaches this is about good and evil people coexisting until Judgment Day. But that's the external interpretation, the exoteric layer, designed to keep you looking outside yourself for both the problem and the solution. Here's the real code. You are the field. The wheat is your divine nature. The tares are your false identity. And the enemy who planted them? That was also you. Before you incarnated, you chose to experience forgetting. You chose to plant thoughts, beliefs, and patterns that would make you feel separate from Source, not as punishment, as practice. Because how can consciousness know itself as light without experiencing darkness? How can love recognize itself without encountering fear? How can divinity understand its own nature without temporarily forgetting it? The tares aren't your enemy, they're your teachers. Every limiting belief, every fear, every pattern that makes you feel small, these are the very experiences that allow your true self to recognize itself by contrast. And here's the most important part. You don't destroy the tares. You integrate them. You let them grow alongside your awakening until you're mature enough to see how they've actually been serving your evolution. Your shadows, your wounds, your darkest moments, they're not obstacles to your enlightenment. They're the compost from which your authentic self grows. Think about the parts of yourself you've been trying to fix, heal, or transcend. What if they're not problems to solve, but aspects of your wholeness to embrace? What if your sensitivity is actually psychic ability? What if your depression is actually a deep soul calling? What if your anger is actually sacred fire that needs direction, not suppression? Feel into this. You are not broken and in need of fixing. You are whole and in the process of remembering. But integration is just the beginning. The next parable reveals what happens when you stop hiding your light, when you fully own your divine nature, and why most people aren't ready for that level of authenticity. No one lights a lamp and puts it under a bushel. They put it on a stand, and it gives light to everyone in the house. Standard interpretation. Don't hide your faith. Share the gospel. Let your light shine. But that's not the real transmission. The lamp is not your faith. The lamp is you, your consciousness, your divine nature, and the bushel. The bushel is every story you tell yourself about why you can't be who you really are. I'm not ready. I'm not worthy. I'm not qualified. People will think I'm crazy. I don't have enough experience, education, credentials. These aren't humble thoughts. They're acts of rebellion against your own divine nature. When Jesus said, "You are the light of the world," he wasn't being poetic. He was stating a fact. Your consciousness, when fully awakened, literally illuminates everything it touches. But most people keep their lamp under a bushel of conditioning, fear, and false humility. They dim their light to make others comfortable. They hide their gifts to avoid responsibility. They play small to belong. Here's what the parable is really saying. Your authenticity is not optional. Your full expression is not selfish. Your divine nature is not something you earn the right to embody. It's something you incarnated to remember and share. When you hide your light, you don't just deprive yourself. You deprive everyone who is meant to be illuminated by your unique frequency. The world doesn't need another dim bulb. It needs you at full brightness. Right now, feel into the ways you've been hiding, the gifts you haven't shared, the truth you haven't spoken, the love you haven't expressed, the power you haven't owned. What would it feel like to remove the bushel? To stop apologizing for being magnificent? To let your light shine so brightly that it gives others permission to do the same? This isn't about ego. This is about service. Because the greatest gift you can give this world is the fullest expression of who you really are. But here's what happens when you truly embody your light, when you stop hiding your divine nature. Not everyone celebrates. The final parable reveals why. And once you understand this code, you'll know exactly why you've been guided to this message at this moment. Two men build houses, one on sand, one on rock. The storms come. One house stands, one falls. You've heard this interpreted as building your life on Jesus instead of worldly things. But that's the kindergarten version. Here's the graduate level transmission. You are both builders. You have been building two versions of yourself your entire life. One version is built on the sand of external validation. It needs approval, recognition, success, security from outside sources to feel stable. This is your false self, your ego, your programmed identity. The other version is built on the rock of inner knowing. It draws its strength from Source itself. This is your true self, your Christ consciousness, your awakened nature. And here's what Jesus was really warning you about. The storms are coming. They're already here. Every external structure you've built your identity on is being shaken. Every system you've relied on for security is being revealed as unstable. Every authority you've looked to for answers is being exposed as limited. This isn't punishment. This is liberation. The storms aren't destroying you. They're revealing which version of yourself is real. You are living in the time of the great revealing, the time when consciousness itself is awakening on this planet. The time when those who have built their lives on the rock of inner knowing will stand, while those who have built on the sand of external dependency will need to rebuild. This is why you found this video. This is why these parables are activating something in you. This is why you've been feeling called to something deeper, something more real, something more authentic. You are not watching this by accident. You are being activated for what's coming. Feel into the foundation you've been building your life on. Is it the approval of others or the approval of your own soul? Is it external security or inner knowing? Is it what the world tells you you are or what God whispers you are in the silence? The storms reveal the foundation. And if you're feeling shaken, if everything familiar is falling away, it might be because your true self is finally ready to emerge. Here's the final code. The parable wasn't about two different people. It was about two different stages of the same awakening process. First, you build on sand because that's all you know. Then the storms come and shake everything loose. Then you realize you have a choice. Rebuild on the same foundation or discover the rock that was always there. You are the rock. Your divine nature is unshakable. Your true self is the foundation that can weather any storm. And now it's time to build from there. We've decoded sacred texts hidden in plain sight, parables they never taught, maps they buried, revelations they couldn't control. They're not for everyone. But if you're still here, you're not everyone. You're marked. You're chosen. You're part of the awakening that's happening right now on this planet. The sacred scrolls are calling, gospels that were hidden, codes that were buried, technologies of awakening they tried to erase. If you feel the pull, it's because your soul already knows it's time. Enter the inner chamber. The link to the scrolls is in the description and pinned in the comments. And if you're seeking others who carry this same knowing, we have a private sanctuary, a hidden space for those decoding the Christ within, remembering the truth behind the veil, and rising beyond religion. Find the link in the description. But only enter if you feel the call. Comment below, "I am the parable," if something ancient stirred within you. And share this transmission, not for clicks, but to signal the others. You didn't find this message. This message found you. The codes are unlocking. The time is now. And you were always part of this. Until we decode the next scroll, remember who you are, and let your light reveal the kingdom within.